Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're going to try and unpack the huge, massive system of rules that governs over 1 billion people. I'm talking about India's legal framework. Now, I know, it sounds super complicated, right? But the basic idea, well, it's something we can all totally relate to.
So, how do you even begin to get your head around a whole country's legal system? Well, let's start small. Let's start with something we all know: family rules. Think about it. Maybe you had a strict but caring parent. They set rules, right? Be home by 7, don't eat junk food. It was all for your safety, your health, your discipline. Well, a country's laws, they work in pretty much the exact same way, just on a massive scale, trying to protect and guide a whole society.
So really, when you boil it all down, that's what law is. It's just a big, structured system of rules. And it's all designed for our collective good, for the well-being of everyone. Okay, but why? Why do we even need all these complex systems? I mean, what problems are they actually solving? Well, to answer that, let's dive into 2 quick stories. They'll show you exactly why.
First up, let's talk about transportation. For most of human history, we just walked everywhere. Then, boom, the wheel comes along, a huge step up. But then, the motor is invented. And just like that, everything changed. The world got smaller, and travel was completely, totally revolutionized.
But of course, that amazing progress brought with it a whole bunch of new and frankly, very dangerous problems. I mean, think about it. How on earth do you manage millions of these fast-moving metal boxes all sharing the same roads without it turning into absolute chaos?
The answer, of course, was law, a specific set of rules. The Motor Vehicles Act came along and introduced things we barely even think about today: traffic lights, speed limits, driving licenses. All of it was designed to bring some order to that chaos and, make the roads safer for all of us.
All right, story number 2. This one's about promises. So just imagine this. A famous actor buys what he thinks is a priceless Picasso painting. He gets it from a friend and spends an absolute fortune on it. So he gets it home, super excited, ready to hang it up on the wall. And then he realizes he's been totally duped. The painting is a cheap fake. And this is way more than just a broken promise between buddies. This is straight up fraud. We're talking a huge financial loss. And this is exactly where something like contract law comes in. Laws like the Indian Contract Act give us a formal way to sort out these kinds of disputes. They're there to protect people from fraud and just make sure there's a basic level of fairness when we make deals with each other, whether it's in business or our personal lives. Okay, so we've established we need laws, right? They solve real problems. But the big question is, where do they come from? I mean, who actually gets to create these rules?
Well, the ultimate source, the big one, is the Constitution of India. The best way to think about it is like the master rulebook for the entire country. It's the document that lays out the whole game and gives the government the actual power to create all the other laws.
And the Constitution is pretty smart about it. It knows India is huge and diverse, so it splits up this lawmaking power between 2 main groups. First, you've got the parliament at the center making laws for the whole country, and then you have the state legislatures, and they make laws just for their own individual states.
And to make sure they don't step on each other's toes, the Constitution lays out these really clear lists. So the union list, that's for national issues, think defense. The state list, that's for local stuff like the police. And then you have something called the concurrent list, which covers shared areas like education, where both can make laws. And, this is exactly where you see some of those real-world tensions play out, like in the debates over national education policies versus what states want to teach.
So how does an idea actually become a law? Well, there's a very clear, structured path. It all starts as a proposal, a draft called a bill. That bill has to be debated and approved by both houses of parliament, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. If it passes, it then goes all the way to the President of India for the final stamp of approval. And only with that signature does the bill officially become an act, a real law of the land. But look, a law is just words on a piece of paper, right? It's pretty useless until someone actually puts it into action. So, whose job is that? Who's responsible for enforcing these rules in our day-to-day lives? That massive job falls to what's called the executive branch. This is basically the government's machinery, its operational arm. It's made up of all those different ministries and departments you hear about: the Ministry of Finance, Home Affairs, you name it.
And the executive also sets up these really powerful specialized groups to watch over specific parts of the country. For example, you've definitely heard of the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. It's their job to act as the ultimate guardian for the entire Indian banking system.
Similarly, if you look at the world of finance, you've got SEBI. Think of them as the watchdog for the stock market. Their whole job is to police the market, to make sure companies and brokers are playing by the rules, all to protect the interests of investors, people like you and me. Okay, so we've got the lawmakers and we've got the law enforcers. But what happens when a law is broken? Or what if people just can't agree on what a law is even supposed to mean? Who steps in to settle things and give the final word?
Well, that is the absolutely crucial role of the judiciary. And right at the very top of that pyramid, you have the Supreme Court of India. It is the highest court in the entire country, and when it makes a decision, that's it. It's the final word, and every other court has to follow it. Working our way down, just below the Supreme Court, you'll find the high courts. Basically, each state has its own, and it acts as the top court for that particular state. And then, finally, you get to the grassroots level, and here we have the district courts. Honestly, these are the real workhorses of the whole system. They're the ones handling the huge majority of everyday cases, both civil and criminal, making sure people have access to justice right there in their local communities. So, there you have it. The makers, the enforcers, and the interpreters. You've got the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Together, these three pillars are the very foundation of India's legal framework. It's a whole system designed to create order and justice. But of course, the big, lingering question is, how well does that design actually work in the real world?